And we're back, and we are just getting our second conversation for this morning started. Today is International Social Workers Day 2021, and we have with us two social workers from the Ministry of Human Development, and we're going to be getting their perspective and also celebrating a little bit of today. So we have joining us this morning Ganesha, I'm sorry. Who is a social worker, as well as Carmelita Cajun. Good morning, ladies.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't we start off with a bit of introductions, and you can tell us a little bit about who you are and how long you have been social workers. Why don't we start with Ganesha?
Hi, good morning again. Ganesha Smith here from the Department of Human Services. I have been working in the capacity as a social worker for the past 14 years. I am currently the Human Development Coordinator for Child Protection Services within Belize City.
Right. And Carmelita?
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Marlene and Gavin. I am Cami Cajun. I work at the Ministry of Human Development in Orange Walk. And I have been in the ministry for the past 18 years. And right now I'm working on the capacity of family support services.
All right. So let's start off with the main question for me, which is what prompted you to get involved, to follow a career as a social worker?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let me start.
Yeah.
Okay. When I think about why I'm here, I think it goes back to who I am. I believe that I was born to be a social worker. I love what I do. I think the part where we do, helping, guiding clients, working with them and things like that, that is what makes me feel good, makes me feel that I have a purpose. And that's the reason I think God put me right here where I am right now, because He wants me to be here. He wants me to be, some sort of a guidance to our clients, be there to advocate for them. And, it's something that makes you feel good.
Yeah. You said, Ganesha, how about you?
I think for me, I have always been one who loved interacting with people, meeting people, helping people. It's a drive for me, and my motto for 2020 and 2021 has been to put a smile on everyone's face. You don't know how persons are feeling inside, but just to have them smile for one time could change their day, could change even their life. And I think I've been someone like that from I was very young, trying to just make everybody feel happy, everybody feel good, and just allowing or helping people to reach their goal. So that's just me, and that has been from, like I said, from high school. I have been this person.
So why don't we talk a little bit more about what it is that both of you do every day? So Ganesha, why don't you describe, let's say, a typical day or a typical week in your life as a social worker?
Okay, so like I said earlier, for me, I work within the child protection system, and that entails looking at various numbers of report that comes in for child abuse. So a typical day is coordinating staff, ensuring that they're ready to go out doing their investigations, doing administrative work, being so much as a support for them, a coach for them while they go out and investigate these child protection reports that are coming in, and then help them to develop care plan that best suits the children we come in contact with, the family we come in contact with. So it's a very compact day. It is a day that is not dull. It is a day that is not monotonous, but one that is filled with a lot of activities, a lot of movement, and a lot of fast thinking.
Yeah. It's really interesting. When you said that you want to put a smile on people's face, and that's kind of like your drive or passion behind what you do. I think the main knowledge that we tend to have of social workers are those who provide interventions to families when things are going wrong. And as you'd imagine, that doesn't bring a smile to many family members' face if they think of children who may potentially need to be removed, or having an outsider provide input to how they're providing care. How do you balance these two things, your main driver and the actual practical work that you may have to do?
It's to bring people to see a bigger picture, Marlene. Oftentimes people look at what is exactly in front of their face, and they're not seeing any outlets, they're not seeing anything that can work for them at this point. But it will allow them to see that as a child protection officer, it is not just looking at removing a child in the event we have to, but what can we do to sustain this family, to stabilize this family. So it is looking at employment, it is looking at building empowerment, it is looking at building self-esteem, so that people know that they don't have to be where they are. They might not get that smile today, oftentimes as we see, but the end result is definitely to be self-sustainable, to maintain your family. For children, it is for them to be happy, to know that they're in a safe place where they can express themselves, where they can just be a child.
Yeah. And for you, Carmelita, this is the ultimate helping profession. What are some of the rewards that you've gained from this work over the years?
Well, Marlene, I would say that I think the biggest one is, as what Ms. Smith had mentioned, seeing the family achieving what they want or what they need. I've been working with families for 18 years, and one of the things that I notice is that a lot of the times, these families have vulnerability, they have different needs and things like that. And when they come and ask for the services, I am there to provide that linkage with the different agencies or the different type of needs that they have. And when they come back and they say, thank you for giving me that support, thank you for the help that you give me, that's really gratifying. That's makes me, at the end of the day, as Ganesha had mentioned, giving that smile, it won't be immediate, but at the end of the day, they come back and they say, thank you.
Mm-hmm. 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 And over the years, has the profession been growing? Are there more people involved in or wanting to get involved in this type of work?
Actually, I think so. Mm-hmm. I have done several presentations at UB, and I've seen where a lot of young people are becoming interested in this profession. So I do think it's growing.
Yeah. And in those presentations, how do you ground them to the realities of the job? Because it's not easy work. I'd hate for us to not get that point across.
It is. I think it's for them to create the balance between having the theory being taught to them and relating it to the real world, practical. And so it's just to merge that for them. It's not difficult, but it is challenging, and it will challenge you to work to the best. As social workers, I have a colleague who used to say, we are not accountants. While accountants can erase an error, if they would say 1 + 1 is 3, they can erase the 3 and put 2. As social workers, we are working with vulnerable populations. We are working with people who are hurt. We are working with persons who are traumatized. And it is to bring that reality to new intakes, new persons wanting to join this profession, to know that it comes from the heart. And it is not something that you just do for a salary. It has to be coming from your heart, and the willingness and commitment has to be there.
Mm. And the scope of work, as you clear, you're in child protection services, so you're responding to things like abuse or neglect. What's the situation in Belize? Where are you seeing the main challenges within families?
I think with COVID and everything, it has become increasingly challenging. A lot of children are at home. Persons are struggling, trying to assist them in terms of getting schoolworks completed. Parents or household providers are losing their jobs, and that has become increasingly challenging. What we have been seeing is a rise in physical abuse, and I think that leads to, again, frustration from parents. And so in situations like these, we use it as a learning tool or a learning moment to educate parents on how best to be use positive discipline, how best to coach them in terms of parenting, and just being able to relax and take each situation one at a time. So what we're seeing is a lot of is more physical abuse, and that is then followed by neglect and sexual abuse. To be exact, our data shows, Marlene, that within the year 2019 and 2020, physical abuse has gone up 51%. And so it is an area that needs a lot of work. But with COVID, it has restricted us or limited us in terms of the level and the amount of services we can provide physically to our clients.
All right, so let's back up into that statistic for a bit, because that's very concerning. 51% increase in reports of physical abuse.
Yes, and this is throughout the country.
Because we know that there's quite a bit that goes unreported as well.
Exactly.
And where are these reports coming from? Are they coming from the point of administration of care, like when a child is taken to a clinic or a hospital? Or is it coming from neighbors or family members? What do you see?
It's a combination of both. I think our highest point is coming from neighbors, and then followed by the healthcare facilities. We would get reports coming from the police as well, but most of it is coming from concerned neighbors and through the healthcare facility if a child needs urgent medical attention.
Like they show up hurt or with something broken or bruised, then...
Exactly, and it doesn't, and their explanation is not satisfactory to the medical practitioner, then they will definitely make a report to either the Department of Human Services or the police department.
And Carmelita, what has your experience been like working through the pandemic?
Okay, Gavin, it has been really challenging. As Ms. Smith had mentioned, it was already challenging before the pandemic, and during the pandemic, well, it became even more increasingly challenging. We have seen a lot of, I work with the family support services. So we provide services to clients and families in general. So we work with the entire family. And we have had a lot of issues in terms of not being able to go there due to the pandemic, or not being able to interact with our clients the way we normally would do. So the pandemic had created or had made us move from one area of how we used to work and quickly change to another way of working with our clients, which is relying on our mobile phones and contacting them and things like that. So, and the thing is that at the end of the day, when we working with clients, the challenges are a lot, and we try to make as much as we can, or try to help as much as we can to get them to at least enhance some sort of functional, being able to be functional in their families, and we try to provide as much support as we can. But as I mentioned, last year it was very challenging. However, we kept on going, and up to now we're still here working with families and things like that.
If I could add to that,
Go ahead. Yeah.
I just see social workers, and I just saw this on a comment this morning, as superheroes. I think we are not recognized as much as we should be. Through this whole COVID-19, social workers across country within our ministry has been working tirelessly. I mean, we have been involved from one thing to the next. So COVID started, we started responding to emergent needs of clients needing food. We responded to the threat of 2 hurricanes, and so officers had to be out there doing assessments. We responded to election. We responded to various things, and we never stopped. We still haven't stopped. We're still going. So we do consider ourselves like healthcare workers, like police officers, as frontline workers, because we are the glue that has been keeping our country going throughout COVID, despite not seeing us at the forefront, but we are there because we're working behind the scenes, trying to keep families together, trying to meet their needs so that they can provide for their families.
In this concept, this work that you do, and I think that that's something that we can benefit from having this type of conversation. When people understand what social workers do and the ultimate goal of family preservation, they can understand how you are helping to build and maintain the foundation of our society. But it's very much thankless work. I think the last time, Ganesha, we maybe had you talking about social work. You were talking about caseloads for social workers, where on average a social worker should have 20 families that they're working with, and in Belize there were somewhere around 50 or more.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
You're
still
right.
the case? Have we reduced that? Because it's a big difference between what should be done in 20 families and having to manage 50 families.
It is pretty much the same, for the mere fact that the number of reports have increased throughout this last year. And so it has been rising in terms of officers' caseload at this point.
And that comes with its own challenges, I'd imagine, because you can't invest the level of time one-on-one with families as you would want to or as you should.
I think for the most part, officers have been doing their utmost best in trying to meet the needs of their client. Like mentioned earlier, the biggest barrier is not being able to interact with them physically. Because it's hard to have a heart-to-heart conversation via telephone, especially if it is someone that is not familiar with you. They would want to see you, and vice versa for us. We would want to see what is not being said, all the nonverbals, all their expressions, all their emotions, in order for us to build a solid or robust plan to work with them. So that is definitely a challenge for us in terms of meeting their needs 100%.
That's so true. That, and you know, I guess while we talk of how the external challenges are adding an extra burden in the households, and you have the 51% increase in reports for physical abuse of children. I mean, that's something I think that people will have a hard time settling. Is the positive spin, if there's ever, or a silver lining, silver thread to this, that you have more communities getting involved to make those reports?
Yes, that is definitely a silver lining. We have been seeing a lot more participation from communities making reports, because oftentimes a lot of these reports, like you said, are unreported. Children are being reared in unhealthy, unsafe environments. So we do have the support of the community. What we definitely need, and if I can just punch this right in here, is a lot more support of persons or families wanting to foster. Again, for us, children belongs with family. And for us, it is important that we identify families that are open, that are willing to work with children who are victims of abuse.
Yeah, and how does that work? How do you, I mean, Belize is are we getting more families signing up to be foster families? What type of gap are we talking about?
It's slow but steady.
Mm-hmm.
We would definitely want to see a rise in that. And I think what we have recognized is that with COVID, and oftentimes we blame COVID at this point. But COVID has made persons step back because they don't want to expose their family to any sort of danger. They have been resistant in making applications or even expressing interest in fostering. So there is a gap there definitely that we would want to close now. So first, people out there, if you are interested, please contact. We have offices throughout our country that officers will be there to answer your questions if you should have any, if as it relates to fostering a child.
And keeping in theme with Social Work Day, how do you guys commemorate the work that you celebrate, I should say, the work that you do?
Well, most definitely, we celebrate Social Work Month from the beginning to the end. But this particular day, we recognize staff for the work that they have been continuously doing. Despite resources, whatever it is, they have been on a constant go and a constant high. And as our theme for this year says, Ubuntu, I am because we are, and we are because of the work that we do. We have a wellness committee within our ministry that takes care of social workers. This ministry does a lot of check-ins, provide services for our own in the event that they are stressed, they are burnt out, they're overwhelmed. We have counseling services, and to be, we are given a token just to show their appreciation of the work social workers do, and we celebrate this day just to the fullest. We have a lot of, while we work, and this is the unique thing about us, while we work, we try to make it fun, we try to make it engaging throughout this particular day, just to show again our appreciation for the work that staff has been doing.
Nice. All right. And for you, Carmelita, what would you say to people who are studying to be social workers, who are interested in being social workers, as to what they can expect, or why you would tell them that it's a great profession to join?
Well, the thing is that if you want to help, if you like helping, if you like interacting with people, if you like, looking at helping families and everybody, and with their needs and things like that, then I would encourage people that are studying. First of all, you have to be able to communicate, be able to understand people where they are. In working with them, it's not going to be easy, but it's at the end of the day, when you do something good for these families, it's something that you will enjoy at the end of the day. It's challenging, but if you have the heart to do it, you will definitely be able to get into social work and work with families the way we're supposed to. And the other thing is that I would encourage young people, to give it a try, because at the end of the day, you never know. You can fall in love with the job, and it's much more rewarding when you find out that at the end of the day you have laid that little grain of sand and make a difference in at least one person's life or one family life.
Yeah.
And you make it a difference. You try to create that difference in a person's life in whatever way you can.
Yeah. All right. And Ganesha, message to fellow social workers as we close.
I think for me, I would want to encourage, if you are aspiring to be a social worker, one of the biggest things you have to come with is commitment, is dedication. One of the skills, the core skill, is listening. Oftentimes we are a community that sometimes find it hard to express ourselves, to express our feelings, because we weren't taught to do so. We were taught to just deal with it and move on. And so it is important as a social worker that we listen. Sometimes that is all people want us to do, is to have that open ear for someone just to hear my cry, And in that same breath, I have sorted out my issue myself. So it's important to listen. I encourage them to come with a lot of energy, a lot of creative ideas, because we don't want it to be, it's not a profession that is clear cut, but it is one that is open for exploration. It is one that is open for creativity when working with families, because not one family, not one child, not one parent is the same. And so we need to be very, we need to think outside of the box in terms of how do we help them? How do we move them from point A to point Z or point M and have them move the other stretch of the way? So it's definitely to look at what are some of your core values, core social work ethics, as well as strong interpersonal skills.
All right. Well, we appreciate the work that the social workers do in this country, and we appreciate both of you for just shedding some light, at least on some of the work that you do. We know that social workers are involved in many more facets of the services provided in the country, but you've allowed us to understand just some parts of it, and we appreciate that. Happy Social Work Day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And end off just to saying to all my colleagues across the country of Belize, happy Social Work Day. Thank you, and we appreciate the work that you guys have been doing and continue to do. Have a fabulous day.
All right.
All right, and we appreciate you too. But with that, we are going to be taking another break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking all about forest management. So please stay tuned, and we'll be back after the break.